So yeah, there's a hole in the ship. That was fun.
Shit, we should get that fixed up.
No, I mean, by the time you guys return to the ship, the sailors are already working on it. Like, the sailors already have it repaired, mostly. You're not going to sink or anything, as far as you know.
I could probably make some sort of check.
Later. Should add some more platinum to my pack, so...
Yeah, Evander, like, his eyes are alight with wonder at the properties of this material that he has been given to study.
Duke, because he discovered this, is very interested.
See, here's the thing, though. Like, he explains the properties of it. Like, he thinks there's some sort of shaved coal, and there's some kind of flame retardant in here, so it burns rather than explodes. He goes on and on about the properties of this stuff, and I've played around with letting it get wet and then drying it out and seeing if it still burns. I played around with seeing if it's poison to ingest. Doesn't taste very good, but it's definitely not any kind of pepper that I'm aware of.
I hired the right guy.
You hired a scientist.
So what you have essentially is this crate of ultra flammable, and he shows you as you all are standing around. He puts some in a small copper bowl, and he sets fire to it, and you watch it burn very brightly and very quickly. There's just this flash of bright light. Eldove, it's very reminiscent of the fire that you throw from your ring.
Eldove feels very happy about this.
And he explains, what we have here is some kind of substance that burns like magical fire, without the expenditure or tapping into any sort of known magic.
Eldove solely refers to it as dragon powder from that time forward.
Seems appropriate.
Seems legit.
I think Arik would be a little freaked out by this and cast create water on top of it. Just a little bit. See if
I mean,
it
doesn't even burn that long. You don't even have time to get the incantation out. Like, he sets fire to it, and immediately the small amount of dragon powder in the bowl ignites and is consumed. So, and you see Evander, like, he starts talking very quickly, and you see the alchemist in him come alive, and you can't even keep up with what he's talking about, all these scientific principles and theories and blah blah blah. When you all rejoin the conversation here is when he asks, or when he says rather, but what concerns me is who had this before.
Who had it before? I mean, we got it from the Sea Witch. I'd assume it would be Dunfast, and I'll look at Eldove.
I haven't seen anything like this before.
Is there any indication where it came from? Any stamping on the
There's
barrel
not.
or anything?
There was no markings on the barrel. But Evander says, that was my thought as well. The men told me you took it from the Sea Witch's vessel, and their most recent plunder had been the Dunfast ships. And the fact that this powder was dry when you found it tells me she did not submerge since she took it. And you see a little bit of pride well up in Evander when he states this, because he himself is from Dunfast. This means the Dunfast alchemists discovered this. But he doesn't know for sure. He says, for all we know, if it came from one of the holds in Dunfast, it would have such marking on the barrel. For all we know, this was smuggled aboard one of the vessels.
Do you have any connections within the Dunfast alchematical societies that you could maybe research once we get to the eastern shores?
Says I do. More to the point.
Are you willing to remain on retainer with my ship?
He says, absolutely.
More importantly, can you make more of it?
He says, yes. I have contacts in the Dwarven Kingdoms. I believe I can get the materials I need to make as much of this as we require. It's a very simple compound, all told. It's surprisingly elegant. What I want to do, though, is I want to contact an engineer. I believe we could make this into a weapon. I believe we can make your ship the most powerful on the ocean.
Oh god, here we go.
Oh, look at Eldove.
Eldove's eyes are very excited and very bright.
Well, Tarin's more like, you know, wall of fire, dragon powder, not that different. Like, I think we're already in the running.
If we got this from somewhere, doesn't that mean there's potentially already a ship using this as a weapon?
Does Zook ask that?
Yeah.
Evander nods and says it's a possibility, but somehow I doubt it.
How could this be weaponized differently than magic and whatever we already have?
And he shakes his head. He says, I'm not sure. That's why I want to contact an engineer. But I believe we may be able to design a weapon in such a way that any common man could use it. You wouldn't require a trained wizard.
At this,
Eldove looks less excited.
Zook's eyes kind of light up at this. So you're saying I could throw fire?
Evander nods.
Show me.
He says, alas, that's why we need an engineer to design such a weapon.
Balls.
Well, we'll put in the word to recruit an engineer once we make sure.
Minutes.
Because the only thought that I had was if we could fire some clay, build some kind of handheld device with a wick going into it, filled with the dragon powder. You could light the wick and throw it and cause an explosion. But engineering's not my strong suit. I have a dwarven contact that I can send word to once we reach port.
We'll do that. Actually, do you want to make contact with him tonight?
No.
None of your wizard shit.
This is what gives me pause is that this is not a discovery. We found this aboard the Sea Hag's vessel. That tells me someone else in this world has it. Someone discovered it outside of this boat. And we don't know who that is or what they're using it for.
It's not like someone conjured it from thin air or something.
Right. This definitely did not come from some manner of jungle fruit.
Now hold on, I've seen some jungle fruit.
He says, I'll continue to study its properties while we're at sea as we cross the ocean.
Okay.
And that's the end of the dragon powder discussion. Unless there's more somebody wants to add.
I don't like this dragon powder.
Has Arik
Khalil
liked
is-
anything since being hired on by the...
Arik
Life
is
has just
miserable.
been a trail of misery.
Khalil is concerned that this could be weaponized to be used against Kiska, and that doesn't make him happy.
Well, anything that can be weaponized could be used against Kiska.
That's true.
Duke is wondering if there's any way that this might be used to help him in his thieving, but he's not entirely sure what the application would be at this point. Anything?
Do you ask
sounds like it-
do you ask Evander that?
Well, right now he's thinking to himself that it would probably be able to pop a powerful lock, but it would also be noisy. It sounds like.
Yeah, in fact, you heard the hissing sound when he lit the small amount of dragon powder that he put into a copper bowl. And that was fairly loud. As just it consumed the powder in the bowl. And you would imagine any mass of it burning even louder or even possibly exploding.
At the same time, Zook is still kind of curious of wondering if he shouldn't maybe take a little bit of this on his journey. It might come in handy at some point.
That would,
Dude,
that would be up to Tarin, not Evander.
Sorry, what was that? I was writing my backstory.
Oh god.
Zook inquires if maybe they
His
should
spawn
take...
Space Jam.
I didn't mean to.
Space Jam happened.
Zook inquires, he goes ahead and asks the captain if he thinks that maybe they should take a little bit of this on
Oh,
their
that's right. I don't
journeys.
have banana. I used banana last week.
They might find a use for it.
Well, I mean, if you want to carry some on you, Zook, just try not to stand too close to Eldove.
Come here, Zook. I
Now-
want to see something.
I'm going to warn you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Every fire spell in the book has a line that says it doesn't ignite things that are worn or carried.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to veto that for purposes of the dragon powder.
Well, my thinking
If
was
you get hit by any
Alright,
kind of magical fire while you're carrying the dragon powder, it's going to ignite.
even if I put it in a leather pouch inside of my leather armor.
Even if it's inside a leather pouch inside leather armor.
Okay, then I'm gonna assume that you're just giving that to me as a wisdom.
Hey, I'm
Speaking
just
of carrying
warning you.
things, Speaking of carrying things, Captain, I don't know if you planned on putting that ring into the treasury, but considering that I now know how to cast a ritual of water breathing, it seems like it would be a good idea to hang on to it.
No, I thought we handed the ring off to somebody.
Yeah,
I
Still
was-
on the treasure sheet.
I was hanging on to the coral ring, since I'm most often the scouty dude, and I said I could just hand it to someone if they needed it.
Alright,
Yeah, that ring does not require attunement. You guys can pass that back and forth.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to do during downtime was talk to each of the crew members, each of the adventuring types, to find out everything I could about what they learned, what they knew about the Udocs at this point.
So who are you speaking to? Just the other PCs?
Is there anyone else really worth?
I mean, because you hired a bunch of sailors from Kiska, and some of them would know
That's
them
true.
by name, but none of them have ever been to the plantation. None of them
Yeah,
have
I'm mostly
met
trying
the
to
family.
I'm mostly trying to get to the point where, since Tarin now cares about this quite a deal, I want to get the in-character knowledge to the point where my out-of-character knowledge is, like the stuff that, assuming people will share that, like the stuff that Khalil knows, for instance.
Okay, what did we determine Khalil knew?
A lot about the mercenary company, which might not
Yeah,
be
that's
relevant anymore.
all that
Right.
all that really that Khalil really knows.
And then I guess
is
talking
about
to
the-
Orphan, because Orphan knows a bit more about the family structure.
Well, then, speaking to Khalil, assuming that Khalil is going to be forthright with you.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Speaking to Khalil, what he knows about the Sanguine Serpents, after what he saw in their hall, the Serpents would not be working for them anymore. That
Okay.
contract would be over. Either the Serpents would decide to leave, or the Udoc family would dismiss them.
Don't forget Benipe's on the ship.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Don't
Forgot-
forget.
I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
forget. So Benipe, I guess, he'd be a very good person to hit up for
He'd-
information.
he'd
Also, I'm
also-
going to make sure he's wearing a shirt so that slave brand isn't shown at any given time.
Benipe, after a few days at sea, in the chapel, Arik, because you've converted the chapel to a chapel of Osprim, yes?
Yes.
You're headed towards the chapel to perform the day's rites early in the morning, and you hear like a grunting noise from inside. Somebody grunting in pain.
Weird. I go investigate.
And when you open the door, you see that the oil lantern that typically hangs from the roof of the room, Benipe has taken it down, slathered his upper arm with the oil, where his sigil is, the Udoc sign, and he has burned it badly.
Oh.
So as to hide the mark. By the time you walk in, he's already doused the fire, and he's just sitting there gritting his teeth, sweating profusely and rocking back and forth.
This guy's
Dear-
fucking hardcore.
Dear Lord, I cast Cure Wounds on him almost immediately.
And you cast Cure Wounds, and the pain subsides, but the scar remains. Now
I
instead of
bet it does.
the branding of the Udocs, he has a huge just burn mark going down his upper right arm.
Dear, by Osram, I understand why you did this, but you could have at least warned me. I could have helped. I could have done something.
He stands up, and he puts his arm on your shoulder, says, "You did help, brother. You showed me that I was lost."
Is someone using a banana or just being dumb?
No, I was moving the bananas around because looks like everybody has one that should have one. So this one is extra.
So,
Because remember, I used my chaotic awesome banana last night.
wait, which one is extra?
This
The
one.
one in the middle of the table.
Oh, then we're going to delete that. We don't need it. I thought I had already deleted it. Okay. So Benipe is happy to share any information he has about the Udocs with you. Which would be pretty much everything at this point. So what is it that you want to know?
Alright. I call a family meeting then, so make sure anyone who wants to can ask them.
At this point, Tarin is pretty pissed off at them and would like to he'd basically like to throw them out of power, but not necessarily kill them, mostly because of the, is it Roxy's? Roxy's. Because of, his apprehension towards Roxy's saying that they didn't want him dead. He's not really sure how to deal with that, though.
Benipe,
Exiling them. He also wouldn't want to orphan Nanice. He liked her.
Benipe does not think very highly of Roxy's. But he's not sure he understands how you intend to use Roxy's to overthrow the rest of them. The only way that he can think of to oust, like to end what's going on in the Udok's village would be to kill the family.
Okay.
I mean, they're rooted there for generations. You would have to go in with martial power above and beyond whatever company that they've hired, and you'd have to take it by force.
Maybe we should get this dragon powder turned into weapons and then go fucking storm the place.
Who is ultimately in charge of the Udok's village?
That would be Yaemon Udok, is the patriarch. He's the 60-year-old man who sat at the head of the table.
Yeah, but who
dinner.
does he, like, does he belong to any nation?
He
or-
does not. It is an autonomous plantation.
Oh,
They
well,
are,
fuck
they are
that.
beholden
Yeah,
to
so
no
that's
one.
why. That's why
How
Khalil
does
was
stuff like that work, then? Like, if we were to just go take over...
Then it would be yours.
Okay,
And
like,
Benipe also points out, like, this is not a Udok problem. This is a problem all over the deserts. Like, there are farms and plantations and strongholds and keeps and nomadic tribes and whatever all throughout the desert that act this way. And he's not really sure if ousting this one in particular serves any kind of greater good or purpose.
It
I'm
does.
just saying, you know who could make all those people in the desert follow, like, standard slavery procedures is some sort of witch king.
Do you say that in Benipe's presence?
Yes.
He agrees with you. He says if there was some unifying force in Romneus that would bring everybody underneath one banner or even several banners, the way it works in Tetluteus, you don't see this kind of thing going on in the shadow of the mountains.
That's how this campaign became civilization.
That's how this campaign became Suikoden.
Right. So, how many stars of Destil we up to? We got 6.
Yeah, something like that.
7 if you count
How many
Benipe.
stars is Fred?
Fred's like, Fred is
what
like,
about
Frickroad,
Yeah,
Frickroad,
and
Frickroad.
Hesper.
If we get all the other 107, then Adric will come back.
right. Well, now see, the thing is, later in the game, you're going to meet young Fred, and they're each a different star.
Oh wow, okay.
So wait, I have a question.
Okay.
Can I upgrade my Pearl of Power to the cool Pearl of Power?
No. There's not a blacksmith aboard the ship. So, like, Benipe, he understands and he sympathizes with your desire to uproot the Udoks because they do hold a prime position in that area. Like, they have this river, and they basically control it. But he tells you the Udoks are not even the worst of them. I mean, there are... If you were to go further inland, you would find strongholds where the masters slaughter slaves for sport. And it gets worse and worse all over the desert. So, like, he kind of sympathizes with what you've seen there and why you don't like it, but he kind of, at the same time, he knows that that particular village was not the worst of it. And he doesn't really see what destroying this one village is going to accomplish in the grand scheme of things.
Okay.
But he gives you any information you want about the village.
Well, geez, we should have just killed them all while we were there. If it was really what it come down to, I should just dropped Everett's black tentacles in the doorway.
Orphan doesn't seem very happy about this idea, but she didn't say anything.
The other thing Benipe would be is concerned about is that most of the slaves on the plantation were born there. And if you were to uproot the position of power at the village, it's like these slaves, at best, would just disperse and be captured or caught up by other slavers. Like, that's the only life they know.
Right.
And at worst, they would die in the desert.
My ideal would be to set up someone there as something more of a benevolent ruler and make them go from being slaves to, maybe not serfs, maybe more like tenants.
Okay. And if you bring up Rolxie's name in relation to that, his reservation is Rolxie knows nothing about the business. He wouldn't be able to run the plantation.
Okay.
So,
Some sort of benevolent witch king.
this is not this is not a one-step process, is what he's getting.
No,
There's a
obviously,
lot
yeah.
to be accounted for.
Duke wants to know, he mentioned that there's other towns and other, like, rulers in the area, and knowing what Zook sort of learned about the preciousness of that water and its mysterious origins, he's curious, are there other similar water sources in the desert that civilization may have sprung around?
Benipe doesn't know. Khalil has heard legends of, like, oases that only materialize once every 100 years. rivers that change course at the whims of the gods. I mean, with a desert that size, there are lots and lots of legends and myths about mysterious and magical water sources.
Hidden temples.
How many of those are true, it's impossible to say. Khalil, this is the river at the Udox village is the only one he's ever seen up close and personal.
I guess Duke's thinking is, with that being one of the main known water sources in the desert, it seems like it could and a bit more power than maybe it does.
To that, Benipe responds, most of the time, actually, the river itself is dried up.
Oh.
The water source springs forth from under the hill at the Udox village. It greens the area around that hill and the village itself. And you notice this when you were pulling up the river, it was very narrow and very shallow until you got within eyeshot of the village. Then it began to widen and deepen a little bit. So, this was an uncommon time of year for the river. Which is why no other cities or ports have sprung up on it.
How long does the river flow?
That he doesn't know because he's been on the plantation the whole time.
Okay. Very interesting. So if we go back, we might not have a river to go up. So that's fun.
Anything else people need to know about the Udox? Before we can put that whole sorry chapter of your lives behind you.
Did Iron Gloves tell the group about Khalil's business? Was that a thing she was just sharing after
she discussed that over dinner, and you were going to relay that message to Amina via the guild when you got to...
I just didn't know if that was something she said to everyone or just to me, since I was palling around with her, but...
Yeah, no, she explained that to everybody.
I don't think I have anything else I particularly need or want to share, so...
Alright. The destination was Garin, which is a small village on the other side of the ocean. And we're just going to fast travel there because we don't need any ocean encounters.
Wait, fast travel to 11 minutes before we get there.
Okay.
Eldove begins casting a ritual.
What ritual?
Phantom Steed.
Phantom Steed?
Yeah.
Don't you already have a little fairy dragon that's following you around?
I have to create a large, quasi-real horse-like creature. Thank you.
I hate Eldove so much.
I have a love-hate relationship with Eldove.
Rick, what if he was creating a chocobo?
That would be even worse.
A golden chocobo. You gotta breed those. It takes a while.
Yeah.
Alright, are you guys ready for some... No, first let me ask, why were you guys going to Garin? Just because Zook had business there? Is that why the decision was made?
I think it was because of that, and because Ka wanted to go across the sea.
Okay.
So that was the place across the sea
just
we were going.
starting
God damn, I can't remember the dude's name.
Character?
No.
Vander.
Vander, we also had technically booked passage to Dunfoss.
He did, but now he's got this dragon powder, and he's much more excited about that. Okay.
So when we start crossing the ocean, does what's-his-name start actually translating the book?
Oh, yeah.
Do you check up on him?
Yeah,
Yes.
we need to take care of that, too, before we
After the Romnean landfall disappears behind you, yes, he does start... I mean, it looks to you he is. He's either doing it or he's making a show of it. But every time you check on him in there, he's got 2 books open and he's transcribing it. And every so often you see him cast some sort of cantrip with his with a somatic component. Like he holds his hand over the book, wiggles his fingers in a particular way, and then continues working.
Does it actually... is it magical? The cantrip he's casting? Like, is it actual magic?
It is.
I want to go down there one time when he's doing that and see if the cantrip he's casting lets me read the book too. Or
I'll be right back.
It does not.
It's just him. Okay.
And he refuses to teach any of you how to do the cantrip.
Okay.
Crossing the ocean, you guys managed to take in 186 gold pieces worth of miscellaneous plunder, salvage. You killed a shark that had a sack of gold in its stomach. Blah blah blah.
Okay.
No need to roleplay through this encounter. We'll just And I rolled to see if any of your crewmen died. None of them did. You're fine.
Wait, are you telling me we're fast forwarding through the shark encounter?
Yes.
How long did it take? Can I just subtract the upkeep now?
2 weeks.
Okay.
Just so we're clear here, I fireballed the shark.
There are
Just
a
so
couple
it's clear,
different
I kill
routes you
stolen.
can take, and it depends on which route you take. Let me get the world map up here.
I don't see. We would just be taking the most direct one, unless we needed to stop somewhere.
We resupplied, so we probably weren't going to stop in the islands. This.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just load up the table real quick, and we'll just figure it out.
Oh, we were gonna sell some wood too, right? We have
That
no
happened.
other
That
shit.
happened last session.
Yeah, we got
rid of that.
Yep,
So-
and the wood.
If you were going to sail straight across, you probably would still stop in the islands to resupply. It would be like
Okay.
a week there, then a week across. You could sail up along the coast this way. Or you could sail around the islands down into the wild sea, but then that's much riskier.
Yeah, there's no reason to do that.
So if you're just going to sail to the islands, then to Garin, then you only have to resupply for one week. You have friends and contacts in the islands that can load you down with jungle fruits and herbs and wood if you need it. That would not cost anything because you provided that tribe a great service not long ago. So yeah, 1 week to resupply when you get to Garin.
I'm back.
So,
I made a frowny face because the Udox village is garbage.
is everybody ready for some good old first edition artwork? Like,
Sure.
Let's do it.
Yes.
is your body
Hells
prepared?
My body is ready. Let's go 70s
Alright,
games.
Let's put it this way: I'm as prepared as I'm going to be, which I'm worried isn't prepared enough.
Yeah.
Let's go 70s games.
Oh, it's
Ooh,
good.
that's
Oh,
good
it's
stuff.
good.
This is great.
Yo, I like how
Good.
every single building is individually numbered.
Dude, did you get this shit from my notebook from elementary school?
I know, right?
Oh wow.
Whoa, hey there, whoa.
Let's go 70s
Listen,
games.
you were near the Udox village, so you got miscellaneous garbage.
Now, Fred is very excited that you all are visiting Garin because one of his mentors lives here. And as
Oh hell yeah!
as
I hang
the
out with
journey
Fred's friends.
as the journey progresses, he tells you about the man's name is Balmoro. He's a very old and very powerful bard, and he runs a theater in Garin, along with his theater troupe. They put on shows almost nightly. What was the name of the theater? I should probably know this.
Wait, is it a theater or does Fred say theater?
He says theater.
Theater.
It's a theater.
And is he a thespian?
Okay, this is important. What number is the theater?
I'm going to tell you in just a second.
That's what he's trying to find out.
Wait,
It's called-
I have a more important question.
Okay.
I get that this is a house. What is this?
Farm.
Because that looks like garbage.
That's a farm plot.
It looks like a turd.
It looks like a big old pile of poop.
The Theater of Mystic Celebration is number 4.
Oh, I do
right
like
here.
Mystic Celebration.
There it is. I see it.
I feel like we're gonna need to start up like a notepad with all the.
Oh, I already have one.
I'm on it. Flumpnotes.txt.
I've had that the entire game.
Okay.
You guys need to put this up on like note sharing for me.
Arik. Well,
Yes.
Eldove, you can listen to this part too. I'm going to explain
got
a little bit about the political situation in Tetlateus. In northern Tetlateus, where you're from, Eldove, exists a region called the True Kingdoms. Picture Westeros, but not united under one throne. You have a bunch of little kingdoms situated about, of which Dunfoss is one of them, that have a tenuous but fairly stable peace, because these people have united against goblin raids, orc raids, the denizens of the Underdark. They've made strong ties with the dwarves in the mountains. So, you live in a fairly peaceful place in Tetlateus. As you move south, this breaks down, and it gets more and more wild as you go south to smaller baronies, people who hold just the lands they can hold, a much more feudal system compared to Romneus. But these southern lands have never united. They get raided a lot by orcs and goblins and all the good stuff from the forest. It gets more mountainous the further you go south, which means closer proximity to the Underdark. The only true kingdom in the south is when you get to the border of Aqueous, and that's where Garin is. The kingdom is called... I had it written down here. I still have it written down. Awesome. It's called Caer Tyrell.
Caer Tyrell.
C-A-E-R, new word, T-I-R-E-L. And this is a smallish kingdom right on the border of Aqueous. They do deal a lot with the aforementioned orc and goblin raids, but they enjoy a little bit more stability than their neighbors, specifically because their proximity to Aqueous gives them access to goods from that region. They have unique and exotic trade with them, and they are the closest of any civilization in Tetlateus to the Sylvan Elves. Once every 10 years, a Sylvan Elf ambassador called the Moon Speaker goes and holds private audience with the head of Caer Tyrell, whoever that happens to be at the time. Eldove, you have particular interest in this because this is the only time you have ever heard of the Sylvan Elves willingly seeking out and speaking to humans.
Well, the next only.
I bet the evening with the Moon Speaker is a really good time, if you know what I mean.
And
I'm just saying, you guys wonder why Eldove is the way he is. He's half Sylvan Elf, and they're designated ambassadors called the Moon Speaker.
I am assuming that your mother or father or whoever is the Sylvan in your family was exiled from their civilization. That's the only way people have any kind of contact with Sylvan Elves, if they're exiled from the woods. If they no longer... Like if they're Fran, basically. If they get thrown out of Earute Village, then they can start banging Balthier in his airship.
Yay!
But as to an actual Sylvan Elf civilization, you've never seen one. You've never heard of one having contact with humans. And you've spent considerable resources trying to make that contact. So 10 years ago, actually probably like 9 years ago, you traveled to Caer Tyrell because that's when the Moon Speaker was arrived, and you sat in the inn and you made daily visits to the castle and at the end you were frustrated and left with nothing. You didn't so much get a glimpse of her. Arik, you know all of that, plus you know that that Garin has an unseemly reputation. The saying goes, if you want someone killed, go to Garin.
Really?
Really.
Wait, why does he know this?
Because you're not from here. You're from way up north. You know the stuff about the Moon Speaker specifically because I know that Eldove is trying to make contact with Sylvan Elves.
No, I was just wondering, like, what is his backstory that he knows?
Oh no, Arik's just from this part of the world. Arik is from Arik is from the kingdom, if not in the kingdom of Caer Tyrell, around it. So he's done dealings here. And actually, there is a church of Osprim here, and one of the most powerful high priests of Osprim resides in Garin.
Sweet. What number is the church?
What number is the church? Excellent question. Let's see. The Theater of Mystic Celebration was 4. I think it's number 3, but let me double check.
What's that, like, nodule hanging off of the theater?
Wait, nodule?
It's probably a well. I think that's what all the nodules are, aren't they?
The communal outhouse.
It's probably Fred's mentor's house.
Oh,
sounds
the bigger
legit.
nodule.
That sits on the ground. The church is building number 3, so it is this building here.
Okay, can I just say it drives me crazy that these numbers are not in any kind of particular order?
They are in a
Why the
particular
hell is
order.
3
They're in order of importance. Castle's number 1, Inn is number 2, Church is number 3, Theater of Mystic Celebration is number 4, and then it starts up here and it goes down.
That's not
There you go.
good map
That
making.
makes a little bit more sense, I guess.
These are the 4 most important locations in Garin. You'll be spending a lot of time here. So,
What's number 42?
number 42... This is a first edition module. I have a fucking answer to that. Number 42 is a small wooden house. It is a rope maker's shop.
Ooh.
It is inhabited by a man and his wife and their 3 young children.
Aw.
And Nodal burns them all to the
I'll
ground.
have more questions in the future. Carry on.
Like I said, this is the first edition module. For some of these stores, I have like the inventory down to each individual hat. For
Are
some
there
of
healing
these,
potions?
for some of these residences, I know how much gold the owner keeps in their boot.
So
There are no healing potions because it's a first
Wait,
edition
this
module.
is a pretty Elder Scrolls town, is what you're saying.
A little bit, yeah. So Eldove walks in, he puts a pot on the guy's head, takes all his rope, and leaves. Alright. Dude, everybody start thinking about... You arrive late afternoon. Everybody start thinking about their afternoon actions. I'm sorry, their evening actions, because you arrive just as the sun's starting to go down. And I'm going to go turn on my air conditioning, because I'm sweating bullets right here, because I'm hot. And I'm going to go grab a Pepsi, and we'll come back, and we will jump into this module.
Sweet.
Who wants to go to the theater with me?
I got business in this town.
I got
I'll go
it.
check
Yeah.
out the theater. I'm curious. About
There's
that.
a Church of Osprey here. It's, you know. I got a date with a lady. How weird is that, huh?
Orphan is the
Freaking
only
priests.
lady of quality among any of you.
Well, Tarin might have something to say about that.
Tarin, you
got
coming to the
his
theater?
girl on the side.
Yeah, he's the only one of this group that has gotten laid.
Hey, no, I had a threesome back.
Yeah.
Yeah, Orphan had a nasty threesome back there, so...
And
right.
we're nerds talking about sex. We are truly living up to the D&D reputation.
I know, right?
My character gets it
Yeah.
all the time.
Look, dude, I got a 20 charisma, so...
Has anybody watching? Has anybody not been watching? But has anybody seen the first season of Ghost in the Shell?
Like,
Which one?
I've only
standalone
seen
or-
parts
Yeah,
of it.
standalone.
Yeah, yeah.
My friends and me, after the very first episode, I started making the joke that the major is a female, or is a 16-year-old boy playing a female D&D character, and it holds up. That reading holds up for the entire season.
Oh,
yeah,
God,
yeah,
I'm gonna
totally.
watch
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Now-
so that...
This body of water is not the ocean. This body of water is actually a lake. You all sailed up with some difficulty. In fact, you might have had to take the longbow up. Longboat, rather. No, you're not rowing a longbow up the river.
Yeah, longbow. Right, the longbow.
It starts out short bow.
You know what? Yeah, you can probably
It
get
can
the Flumph up
attack
this
while
river.
moving, so it's a long.
You actually came up a river for a couple of miles, and it opens up into this much larger lake. And that's what the this body of water is. It's called Lake Farmin.
This village is so boring.
Most of the village subsides on... I mean, they've got good farmland here. There's more farmland outside of the borders. And the lake has excellent fishing. So there is, possibly due to the priest of Osprey that resides here, the church also has services for the god Zerbo,
Zerbo.
who is the god of life in the oceans.
Okay.
Okay. And you all arrived. I actually know what day of the week you all arrived. First edition modules, man. I know all
Is that
this
in the
shit.
module?
It is. It is in the module.
In the module, is there any mention of somebody who'd be willing to buy a small blue dragon corpse?
Not in this town, probably.
Because
No.
we fucking forgot in Kiska.
You all arrive Sunday nights, just as the sun's going down. Though there's only one inn in town. Fred can point you to it. It's called the House of Bartholomew. That's number 2 right here.
Bartholomew?
Yep, the House of Bartholomew. But he heads to the Theater of Mystic Celebration.
Is there
There-
a showing tonight?
No, because tonight is Sunday.
Bartholomew mean anything? Or is it just a name?
Just a name to you.
Alright.
And if you ask in town, it's the name of the proprietor of the inn.
Eldove, are you going to the theater?
There's not a showing tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, does Fred look like he wants company?
Fred always wants company. Are you kidding?
Let's go with Fred. I'm going with Fred.
Yeah,
Fred's
Tarin will go
Fred's
with
awesome
Fred.
matter.
I'll give you one guess
I'm gonna
where
wait
I'm
till
going.
the show to go to the theater. I
Now,
don't feel like going tonight.
I have made some changes to this module. And one of the changes I
Blasphemy.
made was I replaced the Bard character with a Bard character that I used to play back in 2nd edition.
Oh God.
So, it'll be very...
This is gonna go real bad, real
good.
fast.
Sorry. Yeah,
Here comes the Mary Sue.
Landlord again. 1 second.
I was going to say Millich Oppenheimer, but that works too.
I guess we can load Fred in now. Yeah, there he is.
That is a Fred.
So Zook's plan for the evening was to go check into the inn, and then if there was people there hanging out, basically he's trying to find out where the seedy part of town is because he's got to make this contact.
The seedy part of town.
Zook, go steal some rope.
Yeah, from 42.
I mean, there are some seedy-looking people right here in the inn. I'm going to do a lot of scrolling down to that part of the module. Because I don't have a book in front of me. Half of this module is literally just descriptions of what's in all these buildings.
I mean, I'm guessing, is there a readily evident tavern that is the front for the Guild of Shadows in
There
town?
is not. There is one
gonna
inn
be
in
that
town, and it's the one you went to, the House of
Alright, back.
Abraham.
Bartholomew.
All right. Well, if this is the one place to hang out and drink, then that's where Zook's gonna do.
Did I say?
Gonna do.
Did I say Bartholomew? I meant Abraham.
You did say
Okay.
Bartholomew.
Okay, it's
You
the
mean
house.
Abraham.
It's the House of Abraham, not the House of Bartholomew.
Okay, so
Alright.
never mind. So
I'm done
I
bad
reach
and
up,
done.
I scratch
So
out,
who's
Bartholomew
Bartholomew
on the sign and change it to Abraham.
Do have a banana. Maybe we'll make him a reality.
All right, so Khalil fixes the sign.
Spin the banana. It's now the House of Bartholomew.
That's what you're spending your banana on?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Zook,
Yes.
how are you displaying the Guild of Shadows patch?
It is still concealed on my inner cloak, and I will flash it when I think that I've made a contact. But otherwise, I will use the Thieves' Cant to try to layer coding into my conversation. Which should be, from what I understand, should be a pretty good way of picking out a fellow thief.
When you walk into the inn, the barkeeper, his name is Glammy. He has long, stringy black hair and a full, unkept beard. You think there are bugs crawling around in it. And his right arm, he doesn't move it. He has it laying on the counter in front of him. And he does all his work with his left arm.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who takes your money, shows you up to your rooms. He tells you that the inn's proprietor, Abraham, Sunday nights, he retires to his quarters to do bookkeeping and whatnot, but he can see you all to your rooms, get you all fed for the evening.
When he shows us to his rooms, does his right arm just hang limp?
He holds it in front of his chest with his arm, or with his hand, his fist clenched.
Okay.
When he moves it off the table, you see a scar that runs down the inside of his forearm. So it's been injured at some point. He doesn't have a full range of movement on it.
Kind of Bob Dole in it, kind of holding it.
That's a little disrespectful, but yes, he's Bob Dole in it.
It's a physical, whatever.
I get it, but that's not what it's called.
Sorry, that was inappropriate verbing on my part.
He is favoring
it's
his
okay.
uninjured
I
arm.
was thinking the same thing.
He's Bob
We were all thinking it. That's not the point.
Glammy has an injured arm. Glammy has a scar.
Zook.
Yes. Sorry.
There's a pretty barmaid in here with long, flowing blonde locks, going around flirting with the various patrons at the bar as she refills drinks and whatnot. And you do see two people that, to your eyes, look kind of shady. They're occupying one of the back tables. They're both young men. Now, one of them's a little older. One of them's probably in his 30s. The one has a small mustache that and a little beard that he keeps nice and trim, comes down to like a little pointy goatee.
Mm-hmm.
Pitch black hair. And he is sitting at a table with another slightly older gentleman with a more unkempt look to him. And the two of them are throwing dice, making wagers, drinking a little too much. The other table that's occupied at this point, there's some of the castle guards are in here during their downtime in the evening, and the final table is taken up by a loud, boisterous captain who has a broadsword hanging at one side, dagger in his belt, huge overblown captain's hat with a big feather coming off of it. And he's, like, everybody in the tavern knows this man's business. He has a wench at either side, and the barmaid comes around his table a little bit too often by your reckoning. But he has some sailing men there and some other people from town that come in to drink with him, and he's very generous with buying the drinks, and he's talking about this particularly fruitful smuggling operation that he just completed.
Oh, Lord.
How often does he say "R"?
He doesn't. He's not a pirate. You all are the pirates. It's your job to say "R." No, he's a captain. He doesn't have a parrot or a peg leg either. I'm sorry. Also, you're not there, so shut up. Yeah, but the two men back in the corner catch your eye. They're the ones that are back there. They're sitting in like a shadowy area. Like they want to keep to themselves. But you can see that they're dicing and drinking. The boisterous captain, a couple of guards are in here.
Alright. Well, I'm gonna buy a drink and approach the two guys playing dice, and I take my dice out of my pocket and I kind of shake them and ask them if they if I can join their game.
They look you up and down. Say, "Little man from the east." One of them holds his finger up. Says, "Rillis, I think we'll need a booster seat." To which the other one breaks out in laughter.
Zook actually laughs along and says, "Yes, that would be helpful." He's very good-natured about his small stature in general.
The younger gentleman says, "Fine, sit down, we'll take your money."
And Zook wants to proceed to play dice with them and slip in a few cants in there to basically suss them out.
Okay.
And just refresh my memory. The whole deal with the Guild of Shadows is they are a recognized guild. People suspect that they're up to no good, but no one's ever proven it. No one's gonna like arrest someone just for being a member of the Guild of Shadows.
The Guild of Shadows doesn't exist outside of Kiska. The way Taros described it to you is he is a member of a much larger organization that has agents all over Trennis, and this organization does not have a name. The Guild of Shadows in Kiska is a front for this organization. So when he handed you a patch, the organization you joined, while on paper it is technically the Kiskan Guild of Shadows, it is actually this much larger, nameless organization of thieves all across Trennis.
Gotcha, and that's what the patch represents. It represents the Guild of Shadows, but it also represents this large organization.
Right. Like if you were to show this patch in open company, it wouldn't mean anything outside of Kiska. If you were to show it in Kiska, they're thinking, "Oh, he's a member of the Guild of Shadows." But if you show it to another member of your organization, that's when it would mean something.
Okay, I'm probably being.
Are you cheating at dice?
Am I? How badly am I losing?
You win the first hand.
Okay.
You win 6 silver
probably
pieces.
Not. I'm not gonna cheat with these guys just yet.
Just yet.
After a couple of games, I would probably. Well, did I pick up anything else just from playing games with them for a few minutes?
No, they're just talking about. I mean, these men, they're not residents of Garin, but they've been staying at the inn for a little over a year now. Like, their business has kept them in this area for a long time.
Okay, but they're not giving me any hints.
They're not picking up on the thieves' can, if that's what you're asking. You learn their names are Filmar and Oscar.
I'm sorry, what was the first name? Filmar?
Filmar. And Filmar is a hunter. During the day, he goes out into the woods and hunts, and he comes back and sells the pelt and the meat in town. And Oscar is the younger man, and he's not his son, but he's an orphan boy that Filmar took under his wing at a young age, and has been traveling around with him ever since. And the reason they traveled south, as you're talking to them a little more, was to get away from the stifling, like, feudalistic society where they could have only aspired to be serfs if they stayed in the true kingdoms to the north. So they headed south to the wilds. They searched out their fortune. They hunted down orc bands. They joined a couple adventuring parties here and there, and they eventually landed here in Garin, where they have good trade in hunting. Okay. They sell meats and pelts.
Are they telling me? Do I feel like they're telling me the truth and all this stuff?
Roll an insight check.
That's probably not going to do it. Well, that's a 10.
It's a 10?
Yeah.
Filmar's telling the truth. The older man is Filmar. He's the old hunter.
Yeah.
He's on the up and up. Oscar, though, you pick up a couple inconsistencies in his story. Filmar says that he took Oscar in when the younger lad was 3 years old. Oscar seems to think he was older. He seems to think he was 8. There was a little inconsistency. Filmar says they've been here in town a little over a year. Oscar says they only got here at the end of the winter. So you pick up a couple inconsistencies in Oscar's story. But Filmar, as far as you can tell, he's on the up and up. And he looks like a hunter. He looks like he keeps himself nicely groomed, but he looks like a man who spends all day in the woods.
Okay.
He has a kind of Aragorn quality about him.
Okay. You know what? I'm starting to feel like I'm being overly paranoid about this situation. So, I just straight up ask them. I tell them I'm looking for a contact in town, and show them the badge.
And they look at it, and they shake their heads. Doesn't mean anything to us, friend.
You haven't seen anyone wearing this badge or around town?
They have not.
Okay. Fair enough. I thank them for their time and settle up. How did I come out from my dice playing?
You took 6 silver.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Oh yeah, they're playing in silver. These guys are not loaded. These guys aren't loaded like you are.
Oh no! I didn't know how many games I played, so.
Oh, we just completed the one because you said you weren't going to start cheating yet.
Oh, I don't want to cheat these guys. I'll play straight with them for a few rounds, just more to be friendly than anything else.
Roll 3 gaming checks in a row.
What is gaming?
You're proficient in dice, so add your proficiency.
Yeah, intelligence plus your gaming proficiency.
All right.
Unless you're cheating, then add dexterity instead.
Nah, we'll do intelligence is -1, but then plus my proficiency, so it's +2 overall. So that's all right. So
no, your proficiency bonus should be bigger than that.
I'm not double proficient.
No, but your proficiency bonus is 4.
Oh, that's right.
Because you're like level 7 now.
Yeah, so that's a 13. Or I'm sorry, a 14.
Wait, no, level 7. Your proficiency bonus is 3.
Yeah.
No,
well, he's level 8 9. Then. Yeah, Zook is higher level than some of you.
If he's 9, then yeah, it's 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 4. So that's
How'd you
14. 14, 21. Damn, I'm rolling good on this. I didn't really want to kick their ass. I was just playing for playing. And that'd be 19. 14, 21, 19.
You play a couple more rounds of cards, or no, they're not playing cards. They're playing dice. I play a couple more rounds of dice, and you win the first 2. The last game you lose big. And
really?
At the end of it all, you're only ahead 2 silver.
That's cool. Do I perceive any cheating coming from them? Just out of curiosity.
It's too late to go back and check now.
Huh?
It's too late to look now. The game's over.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so I come out with 2 silver. That's fine. I was just playing to be social more than anything else.
Eldove.
Yo.
Fred brings you up to the theater, regaling you of stories of Linus Harpstring, minstrel extraordinaire, and founder of the theater of... I don't even remember this theater's name. It's going to change every time I say it. The Theater of Mystic Celebration. It's the Theater of Mystic Bartholomew.
I asked him if his mentor came up with any famous songs.
And he sings many to you.
Could you sing one for me?
Can I sing one for you?
Yeah, I want one.
'Cause it's a thriller, and no one's gonna save you from the beast about to strike. Okay.
Well, that's the VOD muted.
But
oh my god, it's magical.
That's the somatic or that's the vocal components for Raised Dead, right?
Yeah.
By the time you arrive at the theater, it's dark and it's closed. When you get there, it says, "Oh, I'm disappointed. I forgot that Linus closes the doors on Sunday nights." And he looks
Sunday
very
nights,
sad.
Why is that?
Says, "There's no performance. I imagine they're in there rehearsing." Says, "Well, I suppose we have 20 hours of drinking to do before they open tomorrow night."
I like Fred.
Oh, come on, let's go in. He hasn't seen you for a while. He won't mind you interrupting for a bit.
The doors are closed and locked.
Yes,
Fireball. Yeah.
And Fred looks very disappointed and very dejected. He
He
was
was drunk.
He thought it was Saturday for some reason.
Probably not sober.
Eldove knocks on the door.
And gets no response.
Alright, let's go back to the inn.
Let's go get tossed ass over tea kettle down the street.
Do you pick a
We're
fight?
getting started on that drinking.